Greetings from Southern Yankee Homestead. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Well, as the title says, we're getting back into the Project Cheap Jeep. Oh, crap. Haven't moved it in yet. That's okay. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to be doing over the next, I'll say 2 or 3 episodes, depending on how fast I move along on this, which I got to move pretty quickly because we're a month and a half out from a trail ride. So I need to get this done. We just got in one of the last pieces just about 2 weeks ago, which is a new Warren winch. Not sponsored. We just went with what we had. We got boxes scattered throughout the garage. We got a spare tire carrier, skid plates. I got a new top, steering stabilizer, Evap canister relocation, differential cover, a bunch of stuff we're going to be doing to it, as well as we're going to find out if it's been re-geared. But to start, we're going to go ahead and break out some boxes and start doing some painting because, well, the skid plates need to be painted first. When I said skid plates, I meant skid plates. So, what we should have here is a complete set of Barnes 1/4-inch plate steel skid plates. Get your engine slash transmission, transfer case slash transmission, and gas tank. Whew, they were heavy. So alright, I gave them a few minutes to dry, and they should be good now. Yeah, should be. They're skid plates, not too worried about it. Now, as far as paint goes, we're going to use the good stuff. This is like Project Source Lowe's Flat Black. It's skid plates. They're going to get damaged. They're going to get scraped up. Why spend, for the DuPont or the expensive paints? We're just going to rattle can some flat black on it and be good with it. Odds are, if you see it, it's going to be good enough anyways. It's just to keep them from rusting up. Side note, I like using the cheap paint because it doesn't go on as thick. When I get the expensive paint, you pick your choice. What is the... Yeah, Rust-Oleum. Twice as thick. You spray over it and it puts on a thick layer, and it doesn't seem to bond to the metal very well, in my opinion, and it has a tendency to run. With this, it don't run. It takes a lot of paint to cover an area, but it don't run. I think I get a better job with this than I do with the Rust-Oleum stuff or other name brands. Alright, I've been brainstorming now for a couple days on how to do this, and I've determined that the fabrication needed to put a steering stabilizer on is beyond my capability. So when you look under here, this is where the steering stabilizer should go. There should be a mount down in here, but the prior owner cut off all the hardware that was here and put on the specific bracket for the track bar. That means I have to fabricate something that goes in here that won't contact the drag link, won't contact well, the steering linkage, basically won't contact either of these or the track bar at full tilt, and due to location and the fact that you got to be in a specific area for this, I don't think I have the capability to do this and do it correctly. Therefore, I am bowing out from putting the steering stabilizer on here. We do have a plan though. There is a guy in our area that's a, well, I say former Master Chrysler tech, but he's a Jeep fanatic. If anyone can make a bracket to put that steering stabilizer in there, it's him. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this set up as much as I can, and then we're going to basically take it over to him to customize a bracket that we can get the steering stabilizer attached with. But in the meantime, we've got the rest of it to go. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and pull the diff covers, because I got a new diff cover here. But let me get up. Before I do that one, we're going to start with the rear diff cover. We want to change the oil, but even beyond the oil, I was under here. Is it this one? Yeah. And noticed there's a bolt broken right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this diff cover first before we do the front one, because while I'm at it, I also noticed that the exhaust fell down, so we got to straighten the exhaust out. I do have a solution for that, but we're going to pull this diff cover out and then spray it down so that we can get as much of the fluid out as possible, because to extract that, I'm probably going to need to use the welder. But even beyond that, I need to get another bolt. And yeah, those are grade 8 bolts. That one looks like it should be fun. Anyhow, so along with that bolt that we need to pick up, I need to get another bolt and a washer so that we can do the sway bar motor flip. Now it just so happens, but the bolt isn't in there anymore. Here it is. I ran through my spare bolts trying to find a thread count like this that was longer. I couldn't find one, so I'm going to bag this up, put a label on it, because I need to find probably a grade 8 that is at least 2.5 times longer than this for the sway bar flip. It will make sense, I promise, once I do it. But let me go ahead and start draining the rear diff. While this drains out, I also want to address the fact that, yes, I know there is a low point drain right here, but we also got to extract the bolt from right here. So the diff cover has to come off either way. Why wait? Just pull the cover and get the oil out. We might spray paint the cover too while we're at it. There's nothing green on this except the diff cover. Let's see what we got here. It doesn't look too bad. Also leave a comment down below. Let me know how lucky you think I'm going to be with this. Not a whole lot to grip there, but oh ho ho ho! This is going to be our lucky day. They broke it off going in. That means I don't have to weld to get that out. Definitely better to be lucky sometimes than good. But all of that just to go, well, I guess we can put it back on there now. We're going to go ahead and let her drain a while though. She's got a lot of, I don't know what kind of smell. It kind of has a manure scent to it, so it's really not that pleasant right now. Diff cover off, cleaned up around the gasket area, sprayed it down, gave it a little time to dry. Sorry I didn't film any of that, the battery died. But in the process, it just so happens that this ring gear is pointing out and it shows me 4110. Right in here, there's a 4110. There's a bunch of other numbers and Dana, and what's that? 11810. So February 18th of 2010 is when those gears were made. And they're a 41 count ring gear, or 41 tooth ring gear, 10 tooth pinion. This being the ring that you can see here, the pinion being the piece that attaches to the drive shaft from the back. So with 41 and 10, that means this still has stock 410 gears with 37s and bead locks. I'm going to double check the rear, make sure that that one has a 4110 also, or a 4111, something close, because that is a 4.10 to 1 ratio. If you don't know what that is in off-roading, the higher the number, the lower the ratio. By that, with this one, every 4 times the pinion turns, it turns the ring gear once. If you had something like a 519, every 5 times the pinion turns, the tires turn once. Why that's important: bigger tires, more rolling resistance, more wind resistance, harder on drivetrain. You want a numerically higher gear ratio so that your engine doesn't have to work as hard and bring it back into factory specs. So with that being said, I'm going to double check the rear, make sure that's a 410, and then we're going to judge from there. Don't find it likely that front and rears are different, but stranger things have been known to happen. I did put it in four-wheel drive, so unless you put like 456s and it didn't bind or anything, I don't find that very likely. But we're going to go ahead and install the new diff cover. We have a Poison Spider diff cover that came with it, as well as a lube locker gasket. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here just as it is, in black. We have all of our bolts, including Loctite. That's good to have. So let me go ahead and get these, well, started. Actually, let me get the drip pan out from underneath first so I don't drop a bolt in the oil. Alright, it's going to be hard to see, and I apologize, I'm being lazy. I'm not putting lights in there. Now, why are we doing a diff cover? Well, for lack of better words, that's the replacement. The new one's much heavier. You're less likely to damage a ring gear. Not impossible, just less likely. So we're going to get this open, get a bolt out. Hey, you know what would be handy right about now? The gasket. So even though this came with silicone, we're not using silicone because the gasket we're using takes the place of the silicone. What we're doing is we're just getting the bolts hand threaded in, I hope. And don't worry, I'm going to pull out that top one. I was just getting it started. And I think this will be one of the last components that we install on this that came with the Jeep. So we actually get to start making this my sister's. We have spent a little bit on odds and ends like lights and whatnot, but for the most part up to this point it's just been fixing what was wrong with it from the get-go. For the lube locker, in the upper right corner, there's actually torque specs. It says first 15 foot-pounds, second 35 foot-pounds. So we double torque this, and they also have a pattern that we torque it on also. So down here we got 1, 2 is at the top, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the idea. We're going to go ahead and torque it according to this. So 1, 2 is top right. That's 4, top center. 8, 9, 10. Now we go to 35 foot-pounds. Apparently I didn't do as good a job as I thought cleaning out the rear differential. Don't worry, we got something for that. Yep, 41 and 10. Alright, apologize for the lighting and the battery. Went to took a couple spare bolts with me and picked up some new grade 8 hardware. We're going to cheat this at this point. Got the new bolts. I didn't purchase new washers because, well, here recently I went through and started organizing stuff, and you know what I found? A lot of washers. 2 containers of bolts, about that many nuts. So I went through those to see if I had any of the bolts that we need for this. I didn't. So now we're going to go ahead and finish torquing this down, and we're also going to cheat on that aspect. Since we're breaking bolts at the right torque, we're just going to slam them in there with this. Alright, if you've never seen one of these, this is a hand pump. Oh, it makes doing this so much easier. I can just stick it in there and lay down on the job and just pump this until the stuff starts flowing out. So much easier. And for reference, we're using the 80W90 oil. Reason we're using 80W90 is because, well, I've got 2 big jugs of it. Even though I think the rear calls for 70W145 or something like that. We're not that concerned about it, as long as there's something to circulate between the gears, because I don't think these gears are going to be here for much longer. Let's see anything. Yeah, it's a little dark. So we're going to move to the front of the vehicle for a minute before going back to the back, just because I don't want to lay under the vehicle right now. I'm tired. Long night, long day, baby, you know, that whole thing. So what we're going to tackle is the sway bar disconnect motor. We're going to do a, what is this, 47-cent fix on it. To understand the fix, you have to know the problem. So on 07 Rubicons and up, they have what's called a sway bar disconnect motor. Right here on this JK is a sway bar disconnect motor. The problem, in Chrysler's infinite wisdom when they put it together, they put the connector right here. Well, if you notice, this is the bottom of the add-on bumper. If you look straight on, you can actually see part of the sway bar disconnect motor and the rivets. So a known problem with these, you get off-roading, you hit a nice little rock here on the edge and you slide it by, think you're safe, your tire catches it, and then when you go to reconnect your sway bars, it don't connect. Very simple fix. I think the first time I did this, it cost me 20 bucks. Well, this time we're doing it for about 47 cents. So I took one of the other bolts, went to the store, got a much longer one. That's probably a different head count. It's an 8.8 metric. I can't remember what the thread pitch is. I think it was M10. Yeah, I think it was an M10. But anyhow, this bolt was 47 cents at Tractor Supply. I again rummaged through my spare parts, found a washer. Also went through my spare parts and found a bushing of some sort that slides over it. Problem is, this is too long. So we're going to start with shortening up the bushing. I already did a rough estimate and put a line on it, so now we just got to cut it. Yeah, a little short, a little crooked, not worried about it. So we're going to start with finding the right, so we're going to pull the bolt out of this rubber bushing. Because of this additional, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a try. Yep, thought so. Alright, so we're going to rotate that down. So to get us the additional space, I just went ahead and undid that. She's still hitting. She's hitting the cross member. Okay. So let's go ahead and okay. I'm figuring this out as I go. If you haven't figured that out, then yeah, well, we're figuring this out as we go. Move that out of the way. We're going to go ahead and try to take off this little bracket. Now then, with that bolt out, we can, in theory, is it, what the, oh, that's crushed on there. There we go. Now we got that out of the way. Let's see how far we can turn her. So, a slight change of plans. What we're going to do is we're going to drop the sway bar down so that we can get the get enough clearance to move it. Using a 5/8 ratchet. Get this started by hand because these are known to break off. Dang. That's what I want right there. Now the fun part. Oh, real quick, why I said we're going to be replacing a bolt. This is what a good bolt looks like. This is one of the ones I just took out of there. See how that shoulder's all rusted out and falling to pieces? We're going to replace this bolt so that next time we don't have to worry about this as much. And I think what happened, looking at it, I don't think this was tightened down at the factory all the way. I think what you're seeing there is the bracket moving around, wearing the bolt out, because there's no rust on that. So unless someone broke it off, extracted the old bolt, and then welded it back together, it's literally vibrated itself loose. So we're going to go ahead and get this back up in. I think I got the right bolt this time. The bolt I had before was too short. So this is a M10-150 by 90 millimeter. I guess let's see if it'll fit. For this part, we're going to be relocating the Evap canister. We're going to be relocating it up in there. Why are we relocating? One of the 4x4 shops that I go to, they said, oh, we don't relocate them. We just armor them. Well, the problem is, this is where all your gas fumes get converted. This is the muffler. Yeah. We're going to relocate it. The second reason for relocation is, even though if we put a skid plate here, there's still a good possibility we could smack this and rip it off. Do lots of damage. So first things first, I need to go ahead and read the instructions. Yes, I know how to do that. I know how to read. And I know how to read instructions even. Surprise!